So I just got back from seeing Shelby Oaks, Chris Stuckman. Uh, so yeah, I had seen some people on YouTube like uploading their reviews of it, and I don't know if that's like a thing people are doing online, you know, uh, that I, but I guess I would, just because Chris Stuckman is a YouTube critic, so I'm like, oh, are people just doing that as like a thing? But I figured I would just do it. So anyway, because I know I was like supposed to be watching One Piece and chronicling, my watching of it. Got to episode 28. It's my fourth time trying to get through One Piece. It's not gonna happen. It was too painful. One Piece is not good. Okay, I can't do it. Everybody else is wrong, and I'm right. It's not good. I can't do it anyway. So I'm not doing the One Piece thing anymore. And anyway, so on that note, I guess I'll just share my thoughts with, uh, my thoughts on Shelby Oaks. Let's start with the legend of Chris Stuckman. You know, he's a critic on YouTube. Yeah, I think I've been following him since probably around 2012 or 2013. I don't know. I can't remember the first movie review I saw. He's a guy who, like, you could go way back to, like, where it's just him and, like, I don't know, whatever film filming stuff he had at the time. He's obviously got much higher budget or higher quality filming stuff for his movie reviews now. But yeah, back in 2012, he was just some guy, maybe in like his spare room, just doing like online movie reviews. And now it's like, oh, over the years, he's like, he's got his own thing on Rotten Tomatoes. I think like he's a verified film critic. He is actually a legit film critic now. His YouTube channel has like 2 million subscribers, I think, maybe more. And yeah, he's all about movies. Like he's always sharing his thoughts and, always going to film stuff. And, it's been interesting because I remember he was chronicling what he went to Full Sail University or something years ago. And then, he also got braces. That's not related to anything, but he did get braces at some point. Just watching his journey as he continued like reviewing movies and all that, what he was doing. And then it's like, oh, hey, he's actually like making a movie now. And this guy who started out just doing movie reviews on YouTube in his spare bedroom now like wrote and directed an actual movie that's being released around the country in theaters, and it's produced by the same guy who made Haunting at Hill House. That's kind of a big deal, and that's like really cool. And it's like, dude, the legend of Chris Stuckman. It's like he actually did it. That's like really cool. Like, yeah, that's really cool. It's like, oh, hey, he actually did it. It's like way inspirational. Um, yeah, he succeeded where we could not. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I was excited to see the movie and all that. It's good. Shelby Oaks. It's good. Start by saying I was a little disappointed that there wasn't during the like production, opening title sequence with all the production companies, there wasn't one that said like Stuckmanized Productions. That would have been awesome, you know. Get Stuckmanized. That would have been cool. Anyway, yeah, the movie is good. I guess I won't say I'm not gonna like spoil everything. There's not really too much to spoil. Like it's a horror movie. I'll say it's a horror movie. There's like no laughs in this movie. It's like not a horror comedy. It's just a horror movie. And that's good. Not every horror movie needs to have like comic relief and stuff. It's just constantly building suspense and atmosphere, which is cool. I was into that. Um, it's rated R. I went to buy a ticket and they were like, do you have your ID? And I was like, oh, which then I asked, oh, what's it rated? Which, obviously when they ask for your ID, it's okay, it's rated R. I guess I didn't know what it was rated. Looking back, it could have been rated PG-13, and maybe it should have, because I feel like this might have actually like maybe traumatize some like younger kids, like 13 or 14. So like that might have been the ideal audience since it's a horror movie, and I feel like they might have actually gotten really scared. Yeah, there's some stuff and some subject matter that I guess it's not appropriate for teenagers, but it's not that big of a deal. I think that it could have been fine. So yeah, I think it probably could have been rated PG-13. There's not really any swearing, maybe a little, but anyway, that's just my thoughts on that. It could have been PG-13 and probably should have. Um, it's 90 minutes long. That's awesome. Movies don't need to be like 3 hours long, okay? 90 minutes long. Stuff happens, it gets going. It's like it's a good runtime. Um, my thoughts. I was thinking a lot about something Chris Stuckman said in his review of that movie Doolittle. Whenever that came out, like what 2019, with Robert Downey Jr. Anyway, Chris Stuckman said like this movie cost like $175 million. You could have taken that money and made 175 really good independent films. And that's kind of the vibe of like, yes, okay, this is a really solid, like, you know, the budget's like what, $1 to $2 million. It's pretty solid, and it's like, cool, yeah, it's good. You don't need like $175 million to make like a movie. It's like, this is like fine, it's good. Um, the story was good, and there was like, I was into it. I was like, okay, what's happening here? Okay, and the acting's all fine. That's another thing. I was thinking of that movie, The Hateful Eight, because I've always thought of that of like, I guess the budget was like $60 million. Where did the money go on that? It takes place in like a cabin or something. I guess probably because they had all those really famous actors and stuff. But it's like you probably could have made the movie the same and saved a ton of money by just hiring other actors who, I get it. There's people like Samuel L. Jackson who's like a legend, but I mean, you could probably find some other actors who could like be good enough for what you're trying to do. And it's like these actors are all fine. I mean, I don't know if they are popular. I'm not up to date with like they're all good. There's not like, yeah, everything's good. It's all really good. So it's like, hey, Chris Stuckman directed a movie, and it's like, I mean, I don't know if people were like really trying to judge harshly of like, all right, you're right out of the gates. I'm gonna judge super harshly and nitpick everything, and it's like, uh, you don't need to do that. I mean, just watch the movie. Um, like, okay, what could I nitpick? Like nitpicking stuff. Oh yeah, the jump scares. I was like kind of surprised with the amount of jump scares, and it's those jump scares where it's like really loud noise to really exaggerated, and yeah, I was just kind of surprised. Which they were fine. They worked. They provided the effect of like it's quiet, and it's like yeah, but that's not really a criticism because like I guess you got to have that stuff in movies. I just thought like for as much as Chris Stuckman always talked about signs, and there's like that kind of jump scare when you first see a hint of the alien and it's not like you know blaring in your face. I kind of expected like more of that, but yeah, there's like even one scene where like you just see a dog and it's like it's like I guess you got to have that in horror movies. You got to have some of this stuff. Like you got to have like a creepy elderly person, and yeah, like there's a creepy elderly lady in this movie, and it's like she's really good too. Like, yeah, the cinematography's pretty good, I mean, I guess really good. The music was like pretty good. I enjoyed the music quite a lot. All of that stuff is good. Like, it's good, you know. Um, like yeah. More about the story. Like, um, I guess I could nitpick and be like the opening. I don't know how long it was. Maybe it was 20 minutes. Maybe it was 10 minutes. It's a lot of exposition, but it's fine. It's interesting. Like when it mentions YouTube in like 2008, it's like remember the format. YouTube used to look so much different than it does now, and all that. Yeah, I don't want to say it's predictable. There were times I'm like, I think I can see where it's gonna go, but I would only be able to kind of guess like a few minutes before it got there. Of like, I think I know where this is going. My main criticism, it's not really a criticism, it's a nitpick, but it's like it's kind of just bothers me, and I knew this was gonna happen. Where it's like the main character, where it's like okay, I gotta do this like right now. So I gotta go to this abandoned town all by myself in the middle of the night because that's the best time to go. And it's like, I knew that was gonna happen. It's like, and I guess you gotta have that stuff happen. It's gotta be at night and they have to be alone because it's like, and it's those things of like, well, yeah, if they acted logically, it wouldn't happen the way it did. But it's like, but it's like, okay, did you have to go right now in the middle of the night? You know, because that's the best time to do it. I guess it makes sense in the story. Um, okay, I know I mentioned the jump scares, but there was some really cool stuff of like there's stuff where when you're watching and there's a few like blink if you miss it type moments where it's like I was like absorbed and I was like okay because some major stuff was being revealed, and then there's some stuff where it's like wait, did I see what I thought I saw? And it's like oh snap, and that was cool. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see the movie. Other stuff, just as stuff is revealed, especially towards the end. Again, I guess the subject matter might of some stuff that happens might be a little too much for teenagers, but it's like, oh, of like, what was happening and all that. And it's like, okay. Um, like again, the acting was good. Like, and not to be specific, but there's one guy who like shows up out of nowhere. He's okay, and when you find out, okay, I guess the movie's not rated PG-13. Early on in the beginning, it's like he did really good. He was in the movie for like what 10 seconds really, but he was good. And then like same thing, like I could nitpick like the warden where it's like he's like pouring alcohol into his coffee cup while talking to someone. I'm like, wow, this guy's really comfortable at his job. I mean, come on, that's not a big deal. You're getting some character in there and some drama. And again, the actor was really good playing the warden. He was here for a good time, not a long time. It's cool. Like, some supporting characters are only in it for a little bit, and it's like, oh, they did good. You don't need to spend like $60 million hiring major actors. They all did really good. Um, the special effects, like the CGI, was fine. Like some of the stuff, like it kind of adds to it. When stuff doesn't look 100% real and might look CGI-ish, I feel like that helps a lot in like horror movies. I don't know. I just think of like, what's that movie, The Glass House? This is really random. I just remember it from when I was a kid seeing it, and there's a quick shot of like you know a car like flying off a cliff and all that, and it's very CGI-ish. But I feel like because it looked so fake, it like really was more impactful. I don't know. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. Sometimes when stuff doesn't look realistic, it looks better, or it adds more to the environment. Okay, one thing though. Again, this might have been a money-related thing. I'm trying not to spoil stuff, but like someone's being lifted into the air about stuff, and it's like it looked like they had a little bit of trouble with some of the mechanics, or maybe not. Maybe that's just me like overjudging. I'm trying not to do that, but it's like, you know, uh, okay, like, you know, um, you know, I guess it had an ending, like a full-on ending, but again, you got to have horror movies kind of end in a certain way, of where it's like it's not, it's not over. Because horror movies they have to end a certain way. You know what I'm talking about. It's like Paranormal Activity. That didn't really have an ending or like a happy ending or any kind of ending, but it's like you gotta end horror movies in that way. It's a horror movie. It's October. You gotta have them that way. Um, I liked the imagery. Like there's a part where she's looking through a book, exposition dump and all that, or like you gotta explain stuff where it's like, well, luckily they just left this stuff hanging out in the open for anyone to see. I mean, again, that's Big Gerard. It was in a deserted area. But it's like, I like the imagery, the drawing styles, and like, kind of the exposition through like just some imagery, like some intense drawings and all that, some illustrations. That's pretty cool. Um, yeah. What else to talk about? Again, I don't want to get into the plot. There's not really too much plot to talk about. I thought, like, again, I don't know, it kind of gave me like Blair Witch vibes of like, a lot of like storytelling from people like just explaining stuff, like the warden talking about stuff, telling his story, other people like, just telling stories and all that. Again, the creepy lady at the end, that was really cool. That was good. Um, hmm, what else to talk about? I mean, I was into it, just watch it again. It's like 90 minutes long, and I think it's a good movie to watch. I was thinking, I feel this is gonna be like what's that word? The Mandela effect, because I kept thinking it was spelled Shelby like Bey, but it's like, oh, I guess it's Oaks. That's pretty random, but I don't know. That might be a Mandela thing in the future. I mean, I want to talk more about it. I was like, huh. I like how it hints at stuff, stuff that we don't actually see, but like what happened in Shelby Oaks. What the heck is up with this crazy place? It was all really well done, with like atmosphere and all that. It's pretty good, and I was into it. It was intense at times, of like, where it's like, what's gonna happen here? And I'm like, uh huh. Well, and yeah, it's good. Please make more.